好，今天我们继续冯教授视频的跟读啊。今天的主题是 Top 3 Breakfast Mistakes 就是关于早餐的3项错误。
Today I'm
going to talk about the top 3 mistakes I see when people are taking breakfast and why it might be contributing to you not being able to lose weight.
And it's coming
right up.
Breakfast mistake
number one.
Too
soon.
When
you are sleeping,
you're not eating.
So that's the fasting period, and that's where the word breakfast comes in.
It's a meal
that breaks your fast.
If you ate
dinner at around 6 o'clock p.m.
and didn't
eat breakfast until 8 o'clock a.m., that's about a 14-hour period of fasting.
When you
are not eating,
your body
still needs energy. So
it needs to take some of the stored energy,
which is calories,
out from
where you start from, which is sugar or body fat.
So when
you are fasting, you are using body fat. Once you start eating, your body now has a source of calories or energy,
and is
therefore able to use that for energy and actually store some away. When you are eating, you are storing
calories.
When you are not eating or fasting, you are using those calories.
So if you
simply
extend the
period of time of fasting,
then
you can burn more body fat.
So don't you
have to eat breakfast as soon as you get up?
Well,
no,
because
your body has already
fueled you up
for the day.
This is
part of the normal circadian rhythm.
The circadian
rhythm is that the hormones in our body go up and down depending on the time of the day.
And one of the
things that we've noticed is that around 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning,
just before you
get up,
most people
have a surge of certain hormones.
Growth
hormone, cortisol,
sympathetic
tone, or adrenaline. 这里这个积分的 adrenaline 是错了，应该是 noradrenaline 就是上面左上方的 noradrenaline 就是去肾上腺激素adrenaline 就是肾上腺激素noradrenaline 呢就是去甲肾上腺激素或者降肾上腺激素。还有第一个叫 growth hormone 就是生长激素。第二个叫 cortisol 就是皮质醇，第三个交感神经 sympathetic tone， 第四个叫 noradrenaline 去甲肾上腺素。这几种呢都是我们所谓的反向调节肾上激素，叫 counter-regulatory hormone 它就是相对于那个荷尔蒙呢是相反的。如果相对于我们的 insulin 就是我们的胰岛素，我们的胰岛素降低的时候它们就会升高，胰岛素升高的时候它们就会降低就是说这个叫反向调节 counter-regulatory hormone 这几种记住growth hormone, cortisol, sympathetic tone, and noradrenaline.
These are the same
as the counter-regulatory hormones
that you see
during fasting.
The point of
this is to take energy that's
stored
away, such as body fat,
and take that energy
and push it out into the bloodstream so that you are full for the day. So as soon as you wake up, you actually don't feel very hungry because of the effects of all these counter-regulatory hormones.
Your body is saying,
hey, I have lots of energy. I don't need to eat. When you look at the circadian rhythm for hunger,
most people on average
are lowest
at
around 8 a.m., which is also the time of the day when you've eaten the furthest away So hunger is not simply a state of how long you haven't eaten.
It
It
reflects the
reflects
state of
the
the
state of the
hormones, and
hormones, and the
the hormones
hormones
are
are
telling
telling
you
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 have
have
enough
enough
energy
energy
to
to
get
get going.
going.
So
So
don't break
don't
your
break your
fast
fast
the minute you
the
get
minute
up
you get up
because you are
because
going
you are
to
going
to
to
stop
stop
the
the
body
body
from
from
using
using
stored
stored
calories
calories
or
or
body
body
fat.
fat.
If you
If
are
you're
not
not
hungry,
hungry,
why
why
not you
not
let your
let your
body get
body get
moving first?
moving
Do
first?
something
Do
with
something
the
with the
energy that the
energy
body
that
is
the body is
already
already
pushing out
pushing out
into the
into the
bloodstream.
bloodstream.
There's no
There's no
reason that
reason
you
that
have
you
to
have
break
to
it
break it
immediately.
immediately.
And
And
especially
especially
because most
most
people
people
aren't
aren't
even that
even that
hungry at
hungry at
breakfast
breakfast
time.
time.
So
So
make
make
sure
sure
you
you
don't
don't
break your
break your
fast
fast
too
too
soon.
soon.
Eating
Eating
breakfast
breakfast
is
is
okay,
okay,
but
but
you
you
can do
can
it
do
at
it at
7
7
a.m.
a.m.
if you
if you
want.
want.
You could do it
You
at
could do
9
it
a.m.
at
You could do it
noon.
at noon.
It
It doesn't matter to your body. Your body
body
is gonna figure it out.
Breakfast
Breakfast mistake number
number
2.
too
Too
much
much
sugar.
sugar.
When you
When
look
you
at
look at
typical
typical
foods that we
foods
think
that we
of as
think of as
breakfast
breakfast
foods,
foods,
they're
they are
loaded with
loaded
sugar.
with sugar.
So
So
sugary
sugary
cereals are
cereals are
classic.
classic.
And of course,
And
they
of course,
taste good.
they
There's so
taste
much
good.
sugar
There's
in
so
them.
much sugar in them.
Sometimes they're
Sometimes they are
50% sugar.
50% sugar.
But it's
But
more
it's
than
more
just
than
the
just the
sugary kid
sugary kids
cereals, but
cereals.
things
But
such as
things such as
muffins are
muffins
often full of
are
sugar.
often
You
full of
have
sugar. You have
yogurt with the
yogurt
fruit on
with
the
the fruit
bottom,
on the
which
bottom,
often has a
which
lot of
often has a
sugar.
lot of
The
sugar.
jams and
The
the jellies
jams
that
and the
people put
jellies that
on
people put
bread,
on
for
bread,
example,
for example,
again, full of
again, full
sugar.
of sugar.
One of the
One of
reasons
the
that
reasons
people
that
tend to make
people
it
tend
so
to make it so
sugary
sugary
is that
is that
people have
people have
said for a long
said for
time
a
that they
long
want
time
to
that they
eat a
want
low
to eat a
fat
low
diet.
fat diet.
And when you cut
And
down
when
the
you cut
fat,
down
you
the
have to
fat, you
add
have to
other
add other
things to
things
it.
to it.
And one of the
And
things
one of the
that
things
wound up
that wound
adding
up
was the
adding
sugar.
was the
You
sugar.
don't put
You
sugar
don't
on
put
eggs, for
sugar on eggs,
example.
for
You don't
example. You
put
don't
sugar
put
on
sugar
your
on your
sausages, for
sausages, for
example. But you
example.
will do
But you
that
will do
on
that on
your
your
oatmeal,
oatmeal, for
or
example,
your
or your
cereal, or
cereal,
other things
or other
like
things
that.
like that.
And the sugar
And the
is
sugar
very,
is
very
very, very
dangerous
dangerous
to weight
to
gain.
weight
And
gain.
it's more
And
than
it's more
simply the
than
amount of
simply the amount of
carbohydrates.
carbohydrates.
It's in
It's
the way
in the
that the
way that
body
the body
metabolizes the
metabolizes
fructose.
the fructose.
Table sugar is a
Table sugar is
combination
a
of
combination
glucose
of
and
glucose and
fructose.
fructose.
Glucose is the
Glucose
same
is the
sugar you
same
get
sugar
with
you get with
carbohydrates, such as
carbohydrates,
rice and
such as rice
potatoes,
and
as
potatoes,
opposed
as
to the
opposed to
fructose,
the
which is
fructose,
seen
which
in
is seen
sugar
in the
and high
sugar and the
fructose
high
corn syrup.
fructose corn syrup.
That
That
fructose can only
fructose can
be
only be
metabolized by the
metabolized by
liver,
the liver,
and by doing
and by
that,
doing
it
that,
can
it
contribute to
can
fatty
contribute
liver
to fat
disease
liver
and
disease,
also
and
to
also to have
hyperinsulinemia, which can
insulinemia,
cause a
which
lot
can
of
cause
weight
a lot of
gain,
weight
in
gain,
addition
in
to the
addition to
insulin
the insulin
resistance.
resistance.
So the
So the
sugar
sugar
is much
is
worse for
much
you
worse for you
than just the
than just the
regular
regular
carbohydrates. And
carbohydrates.
that's one of the
And that's
reasons
one of the
that
reasons is
breakfast
that
is
breakfast is
especially bad,
especially
because a
bad
lot
because a
of
lot
these
of
things
these
are
things
just
are just
dessert in
dessert
disguise.
in
What's the
disguise.
difference
What's the
between a
difference
muffin
between
and
a
a
muffin
cupcake?
and a
What's the
cupcake? What's the
difference
difference
between a
between
pastry
a
such as a
pastry such
Danish
as a
and
Danish and
something like a
something like
strudel
a
that you might eat
strudel
for
that you
dessert?
might eat
Now,
for
we all
dessert?
know
Now
that
we all
desserts
know
are
that
not
desserts are not
particularly
particularly
slimming,
slimming,
but you
but you
transform that into
transform that into a
breakfast food, and
breakfast
all of a
food,
sudden
and all
people
of a
think
sudden
it's
people think
good for
it's
you.
good for
Some
you.
of the
Some
breakfast
of the
bars are
breakfast
loaded
bars
with
are loaded with
sugar, and
sugar,
that's what
and
you
that's
really have
what
to
you
be
really
careful
have to
of.
be careful
So
of.
too
So
much
too much
sugar, you
sugar,
really have
you
to be
really have
careful
to be
about.
careful of that.
And breakfast
And
mistake
breakfast
number
mistake number
3:
3,
too
too
many
many
processed and
processed and
refined
refined
carbohydrates.
carbohydrates.
One of the
One of
reasons
the
that
reasons
a
that
lot
a
of
lot
breakfast
of
foods
breakfast
are
foods
refined
are refined
carbohydrates is
carbohydrates
that
is that
it's
it's
convenient.
convenient.
You don't have to
You don't have to
refrigerate it.
refrigerate
Often
it.
you don't have
Often
to
you
cook
don't
it
have
very
to
much.
cook it very
Sometimes you
much.
just have to
Sometimes you just
toast it
have to
or
toast it
pour the
or pour
cereal
the
out of
cereal
a
out of
bag.
a bag.
It's
It's
because
because
if you
if
want to
you
eat
want to
before you
eat
go to
before you
school
go
or
to
go to
school or
work,
go to
you
work,
want
you
something
want
that's
something
very
that's very
convenient for you.
convenient for you.
So you
So
can't have
you can
something
have
like a
something
piece of
like a piece
steak,
of
which is going to
steak,
be
which is
difficult
gonna be
to
difficult to
cook and clean
cook
up and
and clean
eat and
up
so
and eat
on.
and so on.
Instead, it's a lot
Instead, it's
easier
a
to
lot easier
toast
to toast
a slice
a
of white
slice of
bread and put
white
some
bread
jam
and
on
put
it.
some jam on
And
it.
that's the
And that's
reason
the
that
reason
most
that most
breakfast foods we
breakfast
think of
foods we think
today
of
are
today
actually
are
highly
actually
refined
highly refined
carbohydrates.
carbohydrates.
They're cheap,
They are cheap,
they're
they are
easy, they're
easy, they are
convenient, they
convenient,
don't go
they don't
bad, you
go
don't have to
bad, you don't have to
refrigerate them.
refrigerate
So
them.
many
So many
reasons
reasons
why they're
why they are
perfect for
perfect for
convenience, but
convenience, but
not
unfortunately
very
not
good
very
for your
good for your
waistline.
waistline.
Those highly
Those
refined
highly refined
carbohydrates are going to
carbohydrates are
spike up
gonna
your
spike up
glucose,
your
which is going
glucose,
to
which is
spike up your
gonna spike up your
insulin.
insulin,
And then,
and then
because
because
the
your
high insulin
high
just
insulin
takes all that
just takes
energy
all
and
that
sucks
energy
it
and
into
sucks it
storage,
into
there's no
storage.
energy
There's
left
no
for you.
energy left
So
for you.
you eat
So you
two
eat two
slices of white
slices
bread
of
and
white
jam
bread
in the
and
morning.
jam in the
By
morning. By
10:30, you're
10:30,
ravenous
you
and
are
looking for
ravenous
a
and looking
low-fat
for a
muffin.
low-fat muffin.
Don't fall into the
Don't fall
trap.
into the trap.
Yes, it's
Yes,
easy.
it's
No,
easy.
it's
No,
not
it's
good for
not
you.
good for you.
So,
So
really, if you think
really, if
about
you
what
think about what
works, you
works,
just have to
you
think
just have
about
to think about
traditional
traditional
breakfast foods that we
breakfast foods
used to
that we
eat
used to
long
eat
ago.
long ago.
Eggs, for
Eggs, for
example,
example,
great.
great.
Bacon,
Bacon,
meats like
meats like
sausages,
sausages,
steak and eggs is
steak and
classic.
eggs is
Slow
classic.
cooked oats,
Slow cooked
not the
oats, not
instant
the
ones that
instant
we
ones
have, which are
that we
highly
have,
sugar,
which are highly
but the
sugar,
old
but the
oats.
old
Yes, they're
oats. Yes,
carbohydrates,
there are
but there's a lot of
carbohydrates, but there's
fiber
a
in
lot of
them. The
fiber in
glycemic
them. The
index isn't
glycemic
that
index
low.
isn't that
It's not
low.
that
It's
highly
not that
refined.
highly
So those
refined. So those
traditional
traditional
foods are
breakfast
okay.
foods are okay.
And if
And
it's too
if it's too
difficult
difficult
because you don't
because you
have
don't
time to
have
eat
time to eat
breakfast,
breakfast,
you don't
you don't
have to
have
put
to
something in
put
your
something
mouth
in your mouth
immediately. You
immediately.
can break
You
your
can
fast
break your fast
anytime.
anytime.
So
So
don't worry about
don't
it.
worry about it.
It's
It's
okay to
okay
skip
to skip
that
that
immediate eating
immediate
on
eating
waking up
on waking
and
up
let your
and
body
let your
just
body just
continue to
continue
use up
to
some
use
of the
up some of
energy.
the energy.
And those are the
And
three
those are the
biggest
three biggest
breakfast mistakes
breakfast
that I see.
mistakes that I see.
Too soon,
Too soon,
too much
too much
sugar, and
sugar,
too much
and too
refined
much refined
carbohydrates.
carbohydrates.
Thanks for watching,
Thanks for watching,
everybody.
everybody.
Hope you learned
Hope you learned
something. If you
something.
did,
If
maybe
you
share
did,
it with a
maybe share
friend.
it with a
I'll see you
friend.
next
I
week.
see you next week. 好了，结束了。